Hey guys, Eric and Joshua here to talk about the third episode of Fear the Walking Dead, The Dog.
So, I like how scary you just got there.
Macabre. So full spoilers follow, so if you haven't seen that third episode, you shouldn't be watching, or you just don't care, right? You're just gonna keep watching. So you know, we're halfway through the season now, because only 6 episodes. So as
like
of
the first Walking Dead first season.
Right, like the first season. So as of last night, we're at the halfway point. I watched that first video you and Chris did talking about the first episode. I was actually more into it, I think, than you were at that point, but now I'm curious, halfway through, how are you feeling about Fear the Walking Dead?
It's better than it was, but it feels really unbalanced to me. Like, there's some things I really like about it, and some things that I'm just like, okay, I don't want to see any more of this. So it's just kind of middling for me.
There were definitely moments I thought, you know, on this episode that were really strong as far as the, you know, in the chaos, especially when they had to drive from the barber shop back to the house, and it was like just so much going on, and they thought they'd go to the hospital, and then there's like some patient being shot out in front of the hospital.
Oh, whoever was shooting had horrible aim. I heard like 20 gunshots, and then I think there's one hit them.
Well, I guess the idea is they still don't know to aim for the head, so they could be hitting her a million times, I guess, but if no one...
I didn't see any wounds or blood splats or anything.
True.
They were just missing.
They were just
with like
missing.
machine guns too.
Right.
It's like, come on.
Maybe we should have said our better guys.
Yeah.
But I did like sort of that atmosphere of that chaos,
of that
you know?
car drive. That was really good. That's one of the things I really liked.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool to see just sort of the destruction of safe places you would go are now becoming like unsafe. And so, although the riot, at the start of that was really weird to me because I wasn't sure what they were rioting about or what they were doing. It actually funnily looked like they were partying because I think they were just told to like go like this a lot.
Yeah.
And it looked like they were like having a rave or something.
Their team won. Just really excited.
Because there was this before, and in this episode again, there was a sort of a police backlash. Thing of like, oh, don't shoot people, and that's like something that's really real that's happening in our society right now. But it was sort of like a thing in the background, and so it wasn't really sure, were they rioting against the police? Were they just rioting just to loot things?
Right.
I don't know. It was like, hey, let's get that barber shop.
right.
What?
and you know, I know the show is trying to sort of establish that everything, despite the riots and despite the power outages, it's like everything hasn't collapsed completely, right? It's like everyone hasn't fled the city yet.
Yeah.
But you know, the big question I had with this episode, and I'm curious what you thought here, is, you know, we're at an imbalance with the show because it's a prequel and because we know everything. Like, we know exactly what's going on. So when Nick says they're dead, it's like, you know, we already knew that, but though it is very gratifying to have a character on screen say it. For you, what's your sort of place you're at as far as, is that frustrating to you, or do you kind of accept that, like, okay, there's going to be a slow learning curve because these characters have no way of knowing what exactly is going on?
Well, the thing is that it is a very imbalanced thing in the show, I feel, of how people are reacting to this. Like, I thought that was actually a problem with the first episode, to where Nick was so ready to just kill this guy without knowing anything about what was wrong with these people.
Right.
And his parents were just sort of standing there watching it like happen. But still, I'm with David, where, hey...
You mean Daniel, the barber?
No.
Travis.
Why did I call him David? I just said that earlier.
He keeps calling him David.
Yeah, I don't know why.
He just said he looks like a David. Yeah, Travis.
Travis, sorry. I'm with Travis in that he has the right point of view I think you should have at this point in the zombie apocalypse. Is we do not know what's wrong with these people. We don't know if they are curable. They are people we used to know and we're friends with and we used to love. So maybe we should just hold off on like the head bashing with the hammer medicine, and just wait and see what's the matter. I think quarantining them is smart, and staying away from them is smart, but killing them right now, even though we know obviously they're dead. Or do we even? We don't really know. Even in the Walking Dead proper show, we do not know actually, because we have no scientific data at all.
I guess I feel like because of Walking Dead, we see them as rotting corpses, right?
Right, at that point, but we don't know if there's actually a reversal. That could actually still be a thing, because we actually don't know anything about that. But going with the show, I think where everyone should be at, we should not be at full-on mow down the zombies with guns and blunt objects yet. The characters should not all be Daryl Dixon at this point, you know?
Yeah. I agree with you on that. Travis still frustrates me because I totally agree that it wouldn't make sense for everyone just to be like, yeah, just shoot everyone in the head. You know, that these are people they know. And I get that there would be people like him who's like, wait, you know, and even when we know Nick is right in theory that like, oh, they're dead, he would know that. I still think, though, as far as safety is concerned, he's been inconsistent only because he's seen enough at this point, right?
Which character?
Travis.
Travis, okay.
From the end of the first episode, what he saw with that guy that Nick killed, and then with the hospital and all these things happening, that I just feel like when they got home and that guy was in their house, he would know at least to get them away immediately, not be like, you go out of the room, like, hey, are you okay? Like, don't go up to that guy. Like, you don't, I understand, like, logically he wouldn't think, he's an undead living corpse who's coming to eat me, that I should kill. But I still think as far as protection is concerned, he would still be like, nope, like, get away from them. And so that was where my frustration was.
Right.
Because I agree, it shouldn't be, and I know that there's an audience thing where some people do want everyone to instantly be like, badass, get the shotgun, and that wouldn't make sense. We also have, it's always a frustration, even with the regular Walking Dead, that they've never heard of zombies in this world, right? They've got no frame of reference. There's clearly no zombie movies, comic books, TV shows, video games. So that's always weird to me because I'm like, okay, they have no zombie stuff. Do they have no horror at all? Like, no one's even like, he bit him like a vampire. Like, they just say that. I guess there's like, horror doesn't exist in their world, so they can't fathom it at all.
Wow. It would scare me if everyone was like Daniel, for example, who just went and put the gun up to the guy's head and blew it off twice, and it was like this horrible, gruesome thing that he was like willing to do that. What is his? How does he know that this guy is like this undead creature who can't be saved?
But I will say, he didn't at that moment. But when he did shoot his face off and the guy seemed okay, I just feel like maybe there would have been more of a conversation about that.
Whoa! Did you guys see that?
Right.
Face is got blown
Yeah,
up.
they talked about the fact that he killed the guy, but they didn't talk about that moment where he still was okay after not okay physically, but after the first shot.
Yeah, he just like turned his head back and was like, "What's up?"
Yeah.
We didn't say that, but yeah. So I feel like that's what we should be getting out of this is seeing the initial reaction and having it dawning on people that this is happening and learning about the zombies instead of just sort of taking it for granted that we already know what they are. So that's why I feel like the show is stumbling a bit, and it's sort of a sore spot for me.
It's funny because it's stumbling, and then there'll be moments that I think really nail it, right? Like I liked that the National Guard, when they show up at the end, they take away the husband because he got blood splattered on him, and they don't know. Like, we've seen a million of our heroes get blood splattered on them, they're fine. But they don't know, you know, and so they think like, oh, that's worst case scenario, you know, take this guy away.
And how out of the blue was that the entire, like, was it the Army or the National Guard?
I think National Guard.
Let's call it National Guard.
Call it National
Correct
Guard.
us
We'll
in the
be
comments
wrong.
if, sure. So the National Guard just shows up out of nowhere. I don't think there was any foreshadowing for them showing up, was there? They were being deployed?
I think there was a helicopter. I think
we saw the helicopters.
Yeah,
we had no idea they were going to show up in this backyard where they're having like a personal confrontation that there's no way they would know that was happening. And they took the headshot from a distance. I was like, whoa, that was like way too much. That was such a random way, like again, all of a sudden to suddenly upend like the status quo of the show. That suddenly now it feels like the Los Angeles is going to be under quarantine.
See, I like that. I mean, it's TV rules in that they were so stealthy that no one had any semblance that they were coming. But I did like the surprise of the moment and the fact that it did completely change what was happening here.
Yeah.
Last thing I do want to bring up, though, again, on that thing where you kind of went there, to be specific, follow-up is Daniel's wife is hurt, her leg is hurt, she's badly injured. And the fact is there's soldiers there that could get her medical attention, and that's never brought up. That really bugged me. I saw people discussing this, and there was a lot of reasons they came up with, but I just felt it should have been verbalized on the show, right? Like Madison should have said, oh, we should tell them, and he's like, no, you know, just to get that moment on screen. What did you think of that?
I actually didn't really think about that. But, you know, I feel like her character, I mean, obviously we have our core cast, but anyone else is like, it's like open season, right? Anyone else could die. And I feel like they're kind of setting her up to be like this like sympathy case where she's going to turn, you know, once she dies from like her leg, and then it'll be like a really hard moment for Daniel because, you know, he shot this stranger, but would he kill his own wife?
Right, and will she take her daughter with her, I guess, is the question. So that's where we're at right now for Walking Dead. I mean, I like the show overall, but yeah, there's some inconsistencies there.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're kind of both at. What do you think so far? And what do you think of Travis? I think, because we talked a lot about that. Do you think...
Not David.
Not David. What do you think of Travis and how he's reacting? Are you on board, or you think he's got to get with the program quicker? Let us know in the comments, and for plenty more on Fear the Walking Dead, and all things walking and dead, keep it here at IGN.